Hello, welcome to my presentation on a DITA-OT plugin about work instructions, where we say goodbye to manually created lists and hello to accuracy and efficiency. And I will start with an apology, because I know it's almost noon, and during my talk, I will talk about food too. So if you're even a little bit more hungry, I'm sorry for that. But I will make it up at the end. Okay, so a little bit about me. I'm Pieter Jan van de Wegen. I'm from Belgium, working as an information architect. And I'm also already working for 10 years with DITA. And I'm not going very fast on this slide because this is the time I guess it takes to stand here and talk about DITA. I've been through the whole same situation where you have to know about DITA, then you start to work on your DITA-OT plugins and so on and so on. So today, part of my job is creating DITA-OT plugins to PDF, HTML5, and so on. Okay, something about Flow. Flow is a company I'm working for. We are based in Belgium. We are doing technical writing. We are giving training in DITA. So I had the opportunity to learn from, I call him the DITA guru from Belgium. So that was very, very helpful. And yeah, we are giving training, content strategy, template design, and so on. But let's go to the challenge for the work instructions. So what we did is we were working together with the SNCB, which is the Belgian Railway company, and they wanted to write their work instructions in DITA before they worked with Word. So we had a couple of challenges. When you're working with a work instruction, what you need at the front of your work instruction, this is a summary of all the required tools, spares, and supplies people need to do their job. But you also want all this information at a specific step in your work instruction. So that's gives us to a problem where you have, or where what we see when people were working in the Word environment, they had inconsistencies between the summaries and the information further down in the content, because some items were mentioned in the summaries at the front, but they were not mentioned in the steps, or vice versa. So that was something we had to tackle. And to make it maybe a little bit less abstract and visual, I'll go to my demo and that's the part where I talk about my personal work instructions. So I'm not working for the SNCB itself, but I'm also with that. And once a week, I'm making cookies for my children. And those are also a kind of work instructions where we add, or where we cut some butter, and we need 120 grams of butter in there. But in another work instruction, we need 225 grams of butter over here. And before I start cooking, I just want this summary. So before starting, you want 345 grams of butter in there, and then you get started. So what we are all talking, or what I'm talking to today, is how could we get this done efficiently? All right. What was a challenge for the technical writers at the start? You need to add your information twice. You need to add your information at every required tool and step, but you also need to update this summary. And when you work in a Word environment, it's all within one document, let's say. But when you're working with different topics, that's a little bit more difficult to do. And in the end, these topics are also used in different work instructions, so that's even more difficult to manage if you don't have an automated way. So if you look at it from the mechanics perspective, yeah, if you have these incorrect summaries, so you get all your supplies, your tools before you start your work. If it's incorrect, yeah, this leads to interruptions of the work. So that's also not the thing you want to do. So what was our project objective here? Yeah, we wanted to create a DITA-OT plugin that minimized the work for the technical writers and ensured that mechanics had correct information when they start their job. And then somewhere they also said, yeah, Pieter-Jan, it would be very nice if we could use the information from the ERP system, in our case SAP, and just have this also in our work instruction. So we had to extract everything from the ERP, all articles from the ERP system, use it in the work instruction, and generate this summaries. Okay. There were different stages in our project, and I got 30 minutes for my talk, so I will not only talk about the plugin itself, but also how we got there, because I think that's quite important. We had to start to create a DITA specialization for this. The standard DITA didn't fit the purposes. We also created a DITA template for the technical writers to use, and then we could do the magic with the DITA-OT plugin. So what we created a new content type, let's call it, and we called it work instruction. And it was based on the task, machinery task content type, which was by default in the DITA 1.3, but we had to add some extra elements. We needed tools, supplies, and spares for every step. We also needed some elements for our SAP articles, and we wanted to create the summaries at the front of our work instruction. So we needed to have some element to say to the Open Toolkit, okay, let's do your magic. So that those are the summary elements. I don't know if this is visible for everyone. So what we did is we created what I call the step rack element. So you have just your step, like you have a regular task, you have information, and you could also add the tools and supplies and the spares if necessary. And then there you have different tool elements you can use with the quantity unit, and then also a description. Okay. Then we also had these SAP articles we wanted to reuse. We call them NN, which stands for nomenclatura number. These had an ERP ID attribute. This is the exact same attribute as the one using in SAP, because we want to make these exports regularly, so the ID should always be the same. So we use the ID from SAP itself, and then we also export the description. And I think the people who are used to, and I think many people here, to work with DITA see that we add them as conky refs in our documentation, so people will not add them just by text. They always use conky refs to add their SAP article. And then we also needed these summary elements. So we have this summary tool, summary spares, summary supplies element. So whenever there's one of these elements, the DITA-OT knows in the end that it has to do some magic. All right. Next step, when you have your DITA specialization, you have all the elements you need. You also need this a fixed structure, a template for your DITA map. So we designed that, and we also needed some rules in the topics itself. So when we look at our DITA map structure, we see that we are working with a book map for every work instruction. This is not related to this plugin. This has other reasons to work with this with the book map, and it has a file with prerequisites. And in this prerequisites, we have the summary elements, and then we also have our various tasks in there, which are added as child as topic graph elements. Right. In the DITA file itself, we see that you can add your step rack element everywhere after in every step, and you also have to add a quantity, a unit if applicable, and you have to add this SAP article Okay, this and I'll zoom in a little bit. This ERP ID, which I mentioned before, is very important because this is going to be the unique identifier we will use in the end to generate our summaries. I can't work with descriptions because sometimes some articles have the same descriptions, but they have a different ID. So we needed to use this ERP ID as our unique identifier. So now we have our elements, we have our structure, we can work on the DITA-OT plugin itself. The DITA-OT plugin itself, it works in a pre-processing phase. I think I came to the DITA-OT day in Rotterdam 2 years ago. I didn't work a lot with pre-processing at that time, but there were some presentations on that, and I said, definitely can do some things with that. Yeah. So, yeah, the plugin itself, it works in 2 phases. First of all, we're going to process the information. And then the second step, we're going to insert the information into the topics. All right. So as it works in the pre-processing phase, so all the going to HTML, going to PDF doesn't matter. It all happens really early in the process. So what do we do, or what do I mean with processing the information? It's going to collect all the information from the various tasks in our work instruction. So we have our book map with the chapter topic, and then there's different topic graphs. So it's going to collect all the information. It's going to sort it per unique ERP ID, and it's going to add the quantities together if needed. And we're going to save it in a separate file. Okay. Cool. All I need. Okay. So how does this look like? So I have a recipes.dita file. In there I have my preliminary requirements with the summary elements, and I create this recipes.dita underscore summary file. And in there you see I have all the information about my cooking, about my recipes. So I have, for example, for the butter, so let's go here. For the butter, we see that it has a unique ID. This is the one from SAP. Its sum is 345, and we're working with grams in here. Also, for the vanilla sugar, we see that it's found twice. In our work instruction, it's a sum of 16 grams, and that's how it works. So the next step in the process is we have our summary file, we have our regular file. So what we are going to do is we're going to just populate the summary elements with the information from the summary file. So we will we have this recipes.data file. I have summary spare, summary tool, summary supplies in there. I'm just take all this information from the summary file and get it in there. So, and that's actually all of this. In the end, you have a final result, and maybe I'll just show it over here again, where we add in our different step recs we add the sugar, we add the sugar twice in 2 different work instructions or tasks in our work instruction, and in the end we create a list at the top with 345 grams of butter, also sorted per article. So in the end, people can now just start their job with the correct summary. They get all the information, and they can do their job. But also for the technical writer, this is a win because he only has to add his information once. He adds it in his task. He clicks a button, and in the end, they receive a summary, or they get a summary with all the information. That's it. Oh, I'll have to do like this. I also want to say a thank you to Corina, because she helped me with this plugin. We had some quite a quite a hard brainstorm on this one to get it working, but also Riquatro who's not here today, but he will help me parts of the XSLT code to get this done. And I think it's time now for everyone. If you have any questions or comments, and as I said, I'm going to talk about food, but I also going to make it up, and I'm really making cookies every week for my children. They're out skiing right now, so what I did, I just made them on Friday evening, and everyone who has a question gets one, of course. But also, just take one. I will put them over there. Just enjoy them. These are the chocolate chip cookies that we created, that I made on Friday. Okay.
I have a question.
Okay.
I'm curious how many people have worked on this project and how long did it take to make it ready?
How many persons on about and which part? It was I think the creating the specialization and creating the structure was mainly me doing that, but it took some time to do that. I think also I think I heard a couple of years ago doing a data specialization that's easy. When I started doing that was not what I was thinking. So it took some time to think about, to analyze everything you need, and then. But I was the main person working on the data specialization, but also the plugin. I had some help from Corina to get there. Any? When we are also the Dita Guru I mentioned before, he was also giving me advice on it, and we of course we listen to the people who are writing the work instructions, and based on their what they had, what they were doing in Word before, we created this this Dita specialization and worked from that point on. Yes, yeah. But it was a rather small team doing it. Yes. So, and don't be afraid to make specializations. In the end, if you figured it out, it can do some magic too.
Okay, other questions? Nobody wants cookies.
Yeah. I will just put the cookies over there. Take them, please.
How long did it take to do the PDF design?
The PDF design. Is it for the particularly for related to the plugin itself, or because you have the regular design that was a couple of days to get things done, and in the end you see the tools supplies, they are like specialized from lists. So when you publish, you don't have to show them now as a table, right? So I had to do some custom XSLT for that, but doing these specializations didn't take me that much time to do. Yeah, and before I started 10 years ago, I didn't know what XSLT was, so times have changed. Yeah, there was one more question.
What was your resource for the XSLT learning? Was it that book, that XSLT 2.0?
It was two things. I followed an online course, but also from you. That's one thing. And then I've been a lot in the DITA-OT code itself. So I learned a lot from just looking into the existing code and copying what's interesting for me. And that's, I think, the main thing I did. Just search for what looks like what you need. With a good, you could use, as we've heard, Oxygen for that. Search what you need, and then try to analyze what it's doing, and then how you can use it in your use case. That's, I think, the best way to, that's how I learned the most, actually. Yes.
Thank you.